We now come to our second open forum. Ms. Stevenson.
Thank you, Ms. Price, members of the board. We do have quite a few cards this evening. It's up to you. Normally we have 3 minutes. I would recommend we go to 2 for 40 minutes.
No.
All right.
No. 3 minutes.
2 minutes?
We waited.
Okay, 2 minutes. So your first group will be students.
Excuse me. Please. Mr. Wilson. Mr. Wilson.
We have 2 minutes.
Please.
We have 2 minutes.
We have waited to be able to speak to about our kids being bullied in this district. Waited 2 hours.
So
Give us our 3 minutes, please.
We're going to have to ask some of the audience to leave, Mr. Robinson, if we can't.
Yeah.
All the outlines.
This is still a public meeting, so y'all need to please abide by the rules. This is a public meeting. It's not a time to yell. Everyone will get their 2 minutes whenever they get their name called.
Our first speaker is Kingston Cano.
Hi, my name is Kingston Cano. I want to share my experience of bullying at Harpole Middle School. I went to Harpole Middle School with excitement for new adventure, and both my experience has been anything but loneliness, fear, and defeat. I've done my best to walk into school every day with my head held high. I don't know how much more I can take. I feel defeated because I can't trust the adults in my school because they don't do anything to the bullies, and me reporting it just puts a bigger target on my back. It's disappointing because I have done my part to not react, follow the rules, and I don't get the support or protection from my administration like the kids who come after me. My assistant principal said that my experience with the bullies were teaching me grit and life lessons, and my principal told me that I need to pick and choose what bothers me about the harassment and what I tell her. I should be able to come to them with anything I am fearful of, and trust that they'll take it seriously, but it's always my world turned upside down and the bullies left untouched. But because the rumors being spread about me, I can no longer sit in the lunchroom or walk the halls without the fear of being confronted. I can't even wait for my parents to pick up line after school because it isn't safe knowing my teachers and admin will not intervene if needed. I was promised by the principal I'd have extra eyes on me in the lunchroom with everything I've been through, but there was no one that came to my aid after standing up for the lunchroom myself for the first time in 3 years against the same bully. Now I have bad stomach aches and headaches every time I am at school and whenever I see my administrators in the hallway. It makes me feel defeated every day when I go to school. I don't know who I can trust. Thankfully, my choir teacher has been my safe haven when I'm scared or unsure about surroundings. I can't even trust my coaches to have my back when they choose to let the boys who threaten me and show up to my house carrying out threats to be kicked off the team, but still allowed to show up at the championship game and intimidate me or lead our team in the championship game. Thank you for listening to my story. These last 3 years I have felt unheard, unsafe, and want to see changes in others so they don't have to face what I had to. Being my age is hard enough without the added stress of being at school.
Thank you, Kingston. Our next speaker is Kai Nicole Williams.
Hi. Some of y'all might know my story already. I was beaten up by adults and a child at my school. I told the principals and the assistant principals and the counselors everything that was going on. They failed to do anything. I asked for help. Nobody helped me. They pulled the girl in, but nothing was done because it happened. I didn't know what was planned. I didn't know what was happening, and it happened. I got hurt in the process, mentally, physically, emotionally. I think it hurt my mom. It hurt me, hurt my siblings. I can barely look at, cars, because every car that walks past that's white, I feel like I have to be careful about my surroundings, everything that's happening to me. I rode the bus, and I was ready to go home. I didn't know what was going to happen, and all of a sudden, the girl stops by, and she asked for me to get off on her stop. And I was like, no. So after that, I went, and we ended up fighting. And after that, she screamed for her mom, and they came on the bus. The bus driver failed to help me. He also asked me to get off the bus. He was telling me to get off the bus, and if it wasn't for somebody taking my hand and telling him, no, she doesn't ride that. She doesn't get off on that stop. then I would have been forced to get off and something worse would have happened to me. I got 2 knocks, one on my temple. If they would have punched me any harder, I would have died. I would have lost my life because they failed to do their part, because they failed to help me. And I just want to thank y'all for listening to my story.
Thank you, Kai. Our next speaker is Carolyn Rehinder.
The next group are parents with kids in the district is the next group after students.
We are speaking on behalf.
The next group
of
is
the
parents with students in the district.
Students speak first, then parents and students, and then members of the public.
So the next one's up is Ms. Rashner.
Okay, I'm going to be speaking on behalf of a mother named Amanda Martinez. She was not able to be here tonight, so I'm speaking for her. She says, my daughter, Nelise Martinez, is currently attending Lester Davis campus. She recently was sent to this campus because her assigned assistant principal, Mr. Overstreet, said she was missing too many classes. Nelise was being bullied nonstop since the middle of 7th grade when the Denton ISD transferred her from McMath to Strickland. In the 7th grade at Strickland, midway through, she started to get bullied from other girls in her grade. She spent one night with a friend who went through her overnight bag, posted a picture of her underwear on social media. She called the principal and spoke with the principal, and her counselor at the time assured me they would deal with it, but this only made matters worse. They suggested a friendship circle, which created more turmoil. The other girls were upset and decided they would get a high school senior to jump her after school while she waited for her bus. I kept my daughter from school that day and made another phone call to the principal, who told me, again, they were going to deal with it. It made everything worse again. The same 4 girls taunted her every day to the point she started to walk the halls instead of going to class and sitting in the bathroom during class. We reached out numerous times for help, only to be told it was taken care of. Next thing I knew, I was being sent to truancy court for having Judge Holland tell me that my daughter wouldn't amount to anything. After the second time that my daughter was sent to truancy court after being bullied, she broke down and stated to a police officer who came to our home after she'd run away and tried to kill herself that she was sexually assaulted by a boy who she thought was a friend, set up by one of the 4 girls who was bullying her at Strickland. She held all that in, dealt with all that trauma and pain by herself. She wouldn't let any of us help her because she thought nothing was going to be done about it. We went to the school, we asked for help. But at this point, she feels like she was being made to feel like she was the bad kid. They never once worked with us on anything. They never gave us an alternative other than her being punished. I called the police and made a report.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Nicole Cano.
My name is Nicole Cano. My son attends Harpole Middle School. He's been the victim of bullying for the last 3 years. My husband and I have made many attempts to get help for our son and feel there's no one listening. I'm here tonight asking for y'all's help. My son earned the starting spot for the football team, putting a target on his back. 8th grade, my son had been told after a football game that he was going to be jumped after the game. We went to the head coach. He said he would talk to the boys. The next day, a friend of student B came to our son and asked if he wanted to have a boxing match. My son said no. Student C, son of a high-ranking Denton ISD employee, told our son that student B was going to come to our house on Saturday and punch him in the face. We reached out again to the head coach. That it hadn't stopped. He told us that he would pull the boys and tell them that they would be kicked off the team and not allowed to play in the championship game if it didn't stop. On late Saturday night, we received a doorbell ditch. Our doorbell footage shows 5 boys with masks on. While looking at the footage, they did it again. 3rd time, my husband was ready to cut them off, on their way to do it again. It was student B and C with 3 others. We called the coach. He said he would handle it. To my regret, we trusted the school and didn't call the cops to report it. Rumors spread the next day. We found out when we showed up to the game that the head coach told the boys they could come to the game as long as they were with their parents. High-ranking Denton ISD employee's wife brought the boys and never stayed with them. Student B and C stood on the sidelines the entire game and taunted my son while he was trying to play. My son's last middle school game was ruined, and us trying to watch him was stolen because of how bad it was. I emailed the principal asking why they were allowed to be there. I had photo proof that the parents were never with them. I filed a bullying investigation. It was closed within 2 days. The parents of the bullies were allowed to come in and talk with the admin in office. We were never called in. I wanted the same ability to talk to the bullies' parents. We filed a grievance. Never heard from the superintendent. I was given a response the evening before Christmas break by the principal that the punishment by the AP and the coach was enough, so therefore my asks were granted. I told her I wanted to file a level 2 grievance, which I was told I couldn't file. because they gave me what I wanted. Even though I wasn't happy, she told me that I had to trust them and that we would have to agree to disagree and the boys had been disciplined enough. Our principal told me that she didn't get back to me before Christmas because she just needed to check out. I don't get to check out at my son being bullied for the rest of the year.
Ms. Cano, that's your time, Ms. Cano, thank you.
Our next speaker is Sam Cano.
My name is Sam Cano. My son attends Harpole Middle School. I have another story of what our son has gone through with the bullying and no help from the administration after asking for help numerous times. During lunch, student A was trying to get a rise out of my son in the cafeteria. My son told him multiple times to leave him alone. He changed directions of how he was sitting, changed seats, tried to ignore, no adults intervened. I told him he needed to report it. He didn't want to because of the backlash, but did it anyway. The next school day, it started again, but this time student A came from his table and got in my son's face, calling him a bitch. My son tirelessly tried to turn his back away from the student A without end. No teacher stopped it as well. We had been promised by our principal that our son would have extra eyes on him because of everything. Our son sits under the camera at lunch for extra protection. Student A said right in his face, "What are you going to do, bitch?" My son told him to stop. He continued with this harassment. My son turned towards student A, grabbed him by the neck of his shirt, shoved him down twice. My son told me that student A started to cry and act innocent. I told him he needed to go report what happened because student A was going to tell his parents and act like it was unprovoked. My son reported it to the AP the next day. She said his story lined up and wasn't in trouble for shoving student A. The next day, we were called into school and told that student A, the bully, reported that my son had sexually assaulted him during the shoving in the cafeteria, and that was why he was crying. Student A also went around school telling everyone right after it happened that my son grabbed his balls and twisted his dick. We asked if we needed to get a lawyer since this was retaliation for our son standing up for himself for the first time in 3 years. There was camera footage backing up our son protecting himself. The principal told us, "No, you can clearly see student A was at fault, starting everything, and your son shoved him to protect himself." We told her we wanted to open up a harassment investigation on student A.
Our next speaker is LaKendria Tucker.
So the last time I spoke was last school year, at the very last school board meeting. We're doing this again. I spoke about my son's 504 and his teacher's unwillingness and her openness to keep his 504 accommodations from him. I sent an email that had, I think, roughly about 16 people from throughout the district inside of it, including Mr. Wilson. At first, I did receive responses back, but not responses from here, because at that time, I could not get the direct information that I needed for specific people on the board, except for you yourself. You did not reach out to me at that time. You did not seek to fix that situation. It became so bad, as I said last year, that I had to get up in the middle of the night to check on my son to make sure that he would not take his own life. That's how bad it got. I am shocked at the fact that your communications department, Mr. Ice, he thought that it was comical to ask me how did I feel about that teacher becoming Teacher of the Year. After you all became known of that situation, I feel that that is a slap to my face, and it is a direct hindrance to other students who need those accommodations. It's dangerous, and she needs to be fired, and she should be fired. You also have students who are being bullied in your gyms where the coaches are not available. The coaches are either in their offices or they're inside of the gyms. It's dangerous. It's been going on for the last 2 years that I know of specifically. I've seen videos of students being dragged all over these gyms. They're meeting up in bathrooms throughout your middle schools and your high schools, and still there's obviously not enough security or protection for certain students. And instead, the students that are being bullied are being turned into the bullies. Yes. And they are also being targeted by your teachers and your APs as well. Yes. I'm tired of hearing about your titles and not what you can do.
Yes.
Thank you, Ms. Tucker. Our next speaker is Jasmine Mims. Sorry.
My name is Jasmine Mims. I'm here on the behalf of Kai Williams, but first and foremost, for my daughter. She goes to Betty Myers right now. She's attending Lester Davis. for pretty much what everyone said, bullying, kids surrounding her, calling her out of her name, telling her to come tell me when something happens. Every time that she goes to tell somebody, nobody does anything about it. That goes from the main principal, assistant principal, and the other last principal. 3 principals, all counselors. Betty Myers is trash. They don't help. They don't support. They do nothing about it. My child has never been in trouble, never been suspended. Someone was picking on her, threw something at her. She called him a bitch. She got the whole year and the next year in Davis for someone picking on her and doing the right thing as y'all telling them to do. But who's to say that y'all care? No one's doing anything about it. Time after time doing the same thing. It's tiring. Y'all got to think about, y'all cut down 3 minutes to not hear what these kids have to say, but expected them to hear every bit of words y'all said. It's not fair. It's not fair. Y'all got to think about how y'all hurt them physically, mentally, and emotionally, and then want to have the nerve to put, they might need to see ADHD and get evaluated. No, maybe some of y'all teachers might need to get evaluated.
And the principal.
I have nothing good to say about Betty Myers. From teachers, principals on down, they suck. They don't do anything about it. They don't help the kids. They let whatever happens to the kids. My child got 30 days in the next beginning of the school year for something that she didn't do, and now my other kid got.
That's your time, ma'am. Ms. Sims, that's your time.
But Betty Myers. Thank you. Well, you will see us in court. Our next speaker is Lakeisha Searcy.
And I'm going to channel 8 News, all the news. Y'all will be on the news.
Hello. I'm not a speaker, so I just kind of want to address a few points that with what happened with my daughter, Kai Williams. Not only did the bus driver try to put her off the bus at a stop she didn't get off of, but he did not call for help. He did not call the police. Had he called the police 3 minutes away from the stop could have came. They could have followed that bus. They could have been there when my daughter got off the bus to protect her. But instead, when she got off the bus, she was jumped on by grown adults. One parent is not being charged. The sister is being charged, which is unfair to my child. My child is she's in Taffy at Denton. She went to state. She's on her way to nationals in July. As a part of Teach Denton, she doesn't get into trouble. Yes, children gonna be children. So of course she have the little, but never had a referral, inquire. I feel like that bus driver did not protect her. Then I called out to transportation. They was rude to me. They lied and said they had video footage. The only reason why they have video footage is because the assistant principal and her dad took the video to them. I reached out to the superintendent, Amy, I let her know how Kyle didn't feel safe going back to Betty Myers. She did not offer not one sympathy or anything. She didn't say, I'm so sorry this happened to your child, nothing. She just went straight in. Well, you can withdraw her from the school. Yep, that's their answer. But that's it.
Thank you, Ms. Baker.
Sorry, Ms. Price, this next group, you have three cards that have grandkids in schools.
Okay. Our first speaker is Melinda Preston.
You'll also get a picture of the child who's going to be used in the That's a good book.
Can you start my time over, please?
90 minutes off.
Can you start my time over? Thank you. Okay, really, you're not going to start the time over? Okay.
We're not giving the same.
Okay, media, I'm glad you're here. My name is Melinda Preston, and I'm the Executive Director of the Denton County Citizens Defending Freedom. We are here tonight to protect the Denton ISD students. We have had many parents reach out to us about the issue of bullying at Denton ISD campuses. There are laws in place to protect these students and to address the bullies. You are not following the law. I have given each of you a packet with the Texas Association of School Boards Bullying, Cyberbullying, and Hazing Guidelines. This is taken from the Texas Education Code 37, but we will be focusing on Texas Education Code Section 37.0832 and a few other sections of the law. This section lays out what bullying is and what your job is as a school board member. I have also added a copy of Davis Law, which is from SB 179 in the 85th Texas Legislative Session. Again, you are not following the law and protecting our children. This law authorizes the school to remove a student who is engaging in bullying activity from a class and place them in a disciplinary and alternative education program or expel them from the school. And you are not doing that. So another thing is, we are here again to protect the kids. This should be the desire of every person in this room. The stories that you will hear shock you. They already have. And show that this is not the case. There is a person in this room whose son has repeatedly bullied and abused students at Hartport.
That's your time, Ms. Preston. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Preston. Our next speaker is Todd Brooks.
Good evening. My name is Todd Brooks. My grandson Kingston attends Hartpool Middle School. I am speaking tonight on behalf of Nicole and Sam Kingston's parents to quickly share just a few incidents of harassment towards Kingston by several other students, referred to as students A through F. Direct acts of bullying not being handled satisfactorily by DISD school administration. After multiple accusations and rumors made by student A about Kingston, the boy sitting at the lunch table, my grandson turned on him. As a result of the continued abuse and harassment and the rumors spread by these students, my grandson inevitably told his parents he believed he must be stupid for thinking he had any friends left or anyone who would have his back. Students D and E began calling Kingston a homo hobbit. Kingston is not gay, but if this was a complaint regarding the homosexual protected class, I believe such situation would have been handled differently by DISD with proper haste, thoroughness, and great care. Yep. Kingston told his mother that student D, whose father is a member of DISD staff, asked him to go into the bathroom. There are no cameras in the bathroom. He thought the request was weird, but to his regret, went in anyway. Student D then cornered him, shoved him into the wall twice, and told Kingston he was going to fuck up his nose. The assistant principal's response to this claim was, "You must have done something to warrant this action." Kingston's reply, "I do my best every day to come into school with my head held high. I don't know how much longer I can keep this up." To which the assistant principal answers, "We have done everything to keep you safe." The Connell family has absolutely no support from the school, the admin, all the way up to the superintendent. Who else are the families supposed to go to get support when these people put into these powerful positions pick and choose who they are going to help? The Connells have sought relief from DISD multiple times. DISD insists it allows zero tolerance to bullying and harassment. What serious event must occur? A horrible fight, a child harming themselves, a child taking their life before DISD will take such bullying seriously. My wife and I lost one of our sons to children. I know the heartache that the Connells are feeling.
Thanks, Dad.
Our next speaker is Bertia Johnson.
Come on, Bertie.
All right, I'm going to make this as quick as I can because I know the minutes is running. Here's the problem. Betty Myers is not acting in the best interest of our children. I can testify to grandchildren and children being hurt, to one that had to have a concussion. They're out of school for 9 weeks. Couldn't get transferred out. Principal's not making good decisions. So if our children are not going to be protected, who do we need to go to if our elected official is not going to help us? Right. We need somebody who will go in, evaluate the situation, and then make the right decision. The principal is not the person at this point, at this time. The vice principal is not the point. I don't want to see anybody without anything, but I do want to see all the kids protected. I'm a member of this community, I have grandchildren in these schools, and it does not make sense that our kids are not even safe at school.
That's right.
And we need someone who's going to act. So I'm asking this board to please step up, do something, help us to protect our children, because that's why we elect officials.
That's right. Yeah.
They need protection, and we all understand that. You've heard all the horror stories. And none of us here who are parents or grandparents want to see any child hurt like this. It's not pleasant. And shouldn't be known for things such as this.
Yeah.
Our community was a good, settled community. We need to go back to that. Our children need protection. We need everybody to get together and make this happen.
Amen.
So please, board members, we need your help. We're here asking. We may not be doing it in a way that is favorable in this point, but we've gotten to the point where we don't see any other way out, and nobody's doing anything. So when people get to the point where they can't figure out then they start making irrational decisions. That's what's going on now. So we're asking for help from this board.
Amen. All right.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson.
So, Ms. Price, we have probably about another 10 or so comments. Some of these are Denton ISD residents, some of them are not. They do not have children in our schools.
Our next speaker is Terry Gooch.
Hi, my name's Terry Gooch. I'm reading this for someone. They want to remain anonymous. Even the exact details, they want to keep somewhat general because of the fear that they have for their child. As our entire family has suffered from bullying, our student experience this year. We have never been so disappointed in the leadership at a school district. Our child concludes this school year as a completely different kid from the start. He's so broken he cannot return next year. His mental state and personality have never been the same, may never be the same. We completely understand that kids can be jerks and say mean things, but that is not what our child has endured and was much more than that. Our child advocated for himself several times, and then we had to get involved, but each time the problem was not really resolved. The slaps on the wrist do not work. A talk with a bully does not fix the problem. Oftentimes, the bullying escalates or was deflected to another poor child for a few weeks until it circled back to our child. 0 reports of bullying were ever met with ISS. 0. Day after day, a child can only take so much. The verbal and physical abuse was a weekly occurrence this year. Fights and fears of fights was a daily occurrence. ISS was a joke and did not work as a consequence with the lenient environment it offers. Bullies knew how many fights they had left before they were sent to Davis. Bullies quickly learned the weakness of the admins and played it to their advantage. When students start leaving a school and fights become a weekly occurrence, the leadership needs to adjust with changes in staff and tougher consequences. Denton ISD has failed my student.
Yep.
Our next speaker is Terry Senny.
This is a statement from a parent. She has been sent to Denton UBH 3 times since this happened. She has been sent in an ambulance to the hospital for trying to end her life. You don't know the pain until you're a parent who is watching your child suffer to the point that they are begging you not for them to be here on earth anymore. You see the torture and all the pain in their eyes, deep into their soul, and you can't do anything. All because something that never should have happened, and no matter how much we're there and we try to do all that we can, our kids know, but they don't see it because we can't control the other people and their actions to keep our kids safe. When Elise was starting 9th grade at Ryan High School, I called and spoke with Mr. Reeves, the main principal. I told him about my daughter Elise and her older sister getting jumped at Golden Triangle Mall in Denton by the same 4 girls that have been bullying Elise since 7th grade. I even sent in the video of my 2 girls getting jumped, the video where they're all laughing and so happy and proud of their work. He promised me that he will not tolerate that behavior on his campus and would deal with it. He called me and said, well, I spoke with their parents, And they just want this to be done. Okay, well, that's what we wanted too, and we asked for ever since day one at the start of 7th grade. A while later, after reporting the fight, Nylise started getting bullied by the girls again, the same ones -1. They started threatening her, following her to class, following her to the restroom, starting stuff with her during lunch. Nylise started to skip classes, walk around the halls, hide in the restroom during lunch period.
Thank you, Dr. Sally. Our next speaker is Mackie Gillette.
My son attended Geyer High School, and on December 1st, 2022, he was assaulted and sent by school to the ER with 2 large brain bleeds and a head concussion that almost left him dead. He is still recovering from a brain injury, still having to see a neurologist due to that. It was put under a mutual agreement, which he did not choose to do. He was actually trying to help a friend and with a bully who was supposed to have been supervised by 2 adults at all times because he's in the behavioral program. And he had been threatening my son's group of friends that he was gonna shoot and kill all their families. And when he walked into school that morning, he went up to his friend and asked if he was okay, which he could hear them arguing by the bathroom area, and the kid demanded that he had fought him. And my son said he didn't want to, and he is still ongoing medical conditions, and I lost my job due to him almost losing his life. And like the SRO even had said that that's what my son had got for sticking his nose in his friend's business, and he had it coming to him.
What?
And we was not given a chance to file a police report, and Austin was not able to give his statement. The district closed it down before he could get out of the hospital within the 3rd day. And we have had a hard time being able for the school or even the district to really be able to help us get anything accomplished, because of the SRO putting it under a mutual agreement to fight. This is my boy here.
Thank you, Ms. Gillette.
This is what y'all's school is causing.
I don't want nobody else have to lose their life like he almost did.
Yep.
They need to change and kids need to be heard.
And they're not.
And that's why there's too much suicide around the areas.
Yep.
Because of stuff like this happening and nobody's caring and listening.
Thank you, Ms. Gillette. Our next speaker is Monroe Whittington.
A continuation of a little bit of her story. The administrator over the district SRO said if they kept pressing the issue, they would charge Austin, who was my godson, as an adult and the student as a minor. Due to this pressure, we did not take legal action at that time because they didn't want a record for him as he was getting ready to graduate high school. We later learned that Austin's attacker had a history of violence. Austin was beaten that day because the district did not protect him from a known bully, and they had tried to report several times. Austin has suffered greatly and almost, like she said, died due to neglect at Geyer and DISD. There has been no closure. He was always active, happy, easygoing. He had plans to take over his grandpa's lawn business, but he's not physically able to do that at this time. My name is Monroe Whittington. I'm honored to call Austin my godson. Austin has been very active and competitive in avid sports for as long as I've known him. Since he was 8 years old, I had the awesome privilege of attending practices, games, tournaments, from soccer to basketball year after year. Alongside his stepfather, Grandpa, I was one of the few men in his life to make sure he knew the value of respect and hard work, discipline and commitment to doing what is right and what is necessary for family and for others. It's heartbreaking and tragic that I now have to process with him his emotions and feelings of betrayal, abandonment, distrust toward the school officials, educators, and law enforcement involved. only to be blamed, criticized, criminalized, and judged for his willingness to simply speak up and reason for the rights and safety of his friends. He tried to make peace at the expense of being brutally attacked and isolated, and silenced, eventually banned from even visiting his teachers at school on the very school that he graduated from. What a horrible way to end your educational career, robbed of time, opportunity, and privilege to celebrate and enjoy the few meaningful relationships during his final days at Gaia. I had to witness the psychological and emotional pain, guilt, shame, and heartbreak the situation caused him, burden for his mother, his Grammy. She was his personal caregiver, and she lost her job and the financial burdens that came after and the sleepless nights that coincided.
Thank you, Mr. Richardson. Our next speaker is Rich Wilson.
Hi, I'm Rich Wilson. Representing another parent who has a story about their student. It was an incident reported in October of '23. The student was harassed, assaulted, threatened multiple times between classes at Harpool Middle School, which we've heard that name a few times tonight. His story started in PE when a student who was known to be, a bully was mocking a classmate and calling the classmate the N-word. This student felt bad for the kid being mocked and told the bully, "Hey, can you stop? That's not appropriate. That's not good." And the bully proceeded to say, "You're racist." And he spread that rumor throughout the school. And then when he went to his next class, he told him, "I'm going to beat you up, and if you tell anybody, then you're going to get hurt even worse." So he went to his class. The other students noticed he was upset. He asked if he was okay. The students asked him. He said, didn't say anything, just kept his head down. The teacher told them all to get back to work. And so he left that class, went to study skills, which is where the bully was also in his class. And so the teacher walked out of the room for a moment. The bully yells out across the classroom, "I'm going to beat you up, and if you tell anyone, I'm going to hurt you even more." So as he was leaving the class, that student, the bully, yelled back, "Get back here, you bitch ass." And then he ran up to him, tripped him, and pushed him on the floor, where he then hit his head against the wall. Their son got up, frightened, and ran to the class as quickly as he could. When he got to the next class, it was lunch, and he was sitting with his friends, and some other kid walked up and said, "Hey, who's?" And they asked the student's name. One of his friends pointed at him, not knowing what the deal was, and it was another friend of the bully who then made other comments to him and harassed the team at the school. So he was scared. He needed to go to the restroom, so he ran, and he had to run upstairs because he didn't want to use the one on the same floor. And they found him in the bathroom anyways.
Yep. Thank you, Mr. Wilson. Our next speaker is Terry Wilson.
Thank you, Board. Mr. Wilson, we appreciate you listening to this. I just feel that God is not going to hold us guiltless if we stand by and do nothing in the face of injustice to these children. I'm continuing then with the story. He finally escaped and transferred to math class, and the main bully yelled to him once again, "I'm going to beat your ass after school." Another friend who was in the son's math class heard the bully say to them that he was walking in the hall. Their son got to math, put his head on the desk, and was not working. At this point, he is scared, doesn't know what to do, and he's afraid to say anything to anyone in fear of retaliation. The math teacher finds it abnormal that he is not working with his head down and asks why he isn't working. The witness who heard the bully yell at him in the hall speaks up in class and states, "I just heard that other kid, he was going to beat his ass after school." The math teacher then sends the victim, their son, to the counselor's office, but it doesn't stop there. Their son told the counselor what had taken place, but was scared to open up and tell all the details. The counselor seemed upset and got the vice principal involved. He was petrified when the vice principal stated that she would bring these students in to talk. He asked multiple times, "Please don't bring them in until the school's day is over, because I'm afraid they will attack me." She received a call from the vice principal telling the mom, the mom received a call from the vice principal telling her about the initial incident or occurrence that took place in PE, but was not informed of any other further encounters that took place the rest of the day. Their son came home on a Friday evening scared to tell her what occurred, which was very unusual for him. She could tell he was hiding info from her and kept saying, I can't tell you because it won't be good.
Thank you, Ms. Wilson. Our next speaker is Donna Smith.
I'm Donna Smith, and I just wanted to remind you that you're our elected officials. And it's a hard job, and I appreciate that you're here. I would ask, though, that because you may not have known about any of these circumstances, I don't know what is filtered down, to you. But these are people who have children that are suffering, and the parents are suffering.
Yep.
And my heart's broken for them. And so I ask that as our elected officials, you look into this, because these are your employees who are responsible for the care of all of these children and listening to their parents and their concerns. And something has happened. A ball has been dropped, and it needs to be discovered how to fix this so that the children are safe, because the bullies appear to have figured out how to work the system.
Yep.
And it's left those who truly just came to learn unable to do so because they're terrorized.
Yep.
And it puts a hardship on families because they have to make a decision. Do I quit my job? Do I stay home? What do I do? Most of us cannot afford to live without two incomes.
Yep.
And so your choices are very hard. And so I'm asking you to take a look at this. Find a strategy that will help alleviate this problem so our children can learn and grow up and truly have a bright future.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. Our next speaker is Lakeisha Doss.
Hello, my name is Lakeisha Doss. I'm a resident here in Denton County. I also have nieces, nephews, and many family and friends that are here today who have children in Denton ISD. It has continuously been reported to me that there is bullying at the middle schools. There's bullying in Denton ISD. We have heard numerous stories about what is going on, but our voices are being unheard. I am calling that policy change be made or some people be fired and step down. Yes. Because something has to be done, because if we don't do something, someone's going to get killed, and we're not only going to be on the news for people being jumped and bullied because no one is listening to our children when we cry out. We should not continue to have to cry out in Denton ISD and Denton County because no one is hearing the voices of the parents or the community. Yes. We should not be shut down every time we call because we're having an issue with bullying in our school. Yep. There's a young lady that I am here representing today. I am not going to mention her name. She was bullied at a school, Betty Myers, on the bus. She was kicked out. The bully was not kicked out. She was sent to Lester Davis Detention Center. Lester Davis has a policy that needs to be changed that says if they do not ride their bus, they are not allowed to attend school. There are no tardy policies either. So this young lady has been allowed to not go to school for 5 months, but only 6 times within the 5-month period. They have allowed that. I have called the school. I have called everyone trying to receive help. They said, this is our policy. This is how things are. We will not change. I am calling for change not only with the bullying policy. Something must be done. And I am calling for change at Lester Davis concerning their tardiness. There has to be change, because if something does not happen, this young lady was exploited. Her images was sent around the high school from other children who were bullying her after she got beat up. That should not be acceptable by any means. Someone needs to be held accountable, and if it's not us, it's going to be you guys, because we're coming out here, we're standing up for our children today. I do not have children, but one day I will have children, and if they have to go here, I'm speaking up right now for our future generation. Yes. Thank you for your time.
Yeah. Thank you, Ms. Doss. And Ms. Doss was our final speaker. Thank you all for coming forth and for speaking, and I'm sorry we had to limit the time, but that has been a tradition in this district when there are a great many speakers.